everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is the Out of Pocket podcast with BadBoys. I like that name still. I'm happy with that name. Ric Jones, Koby Pilgrim, Mike D. Believe me, Kenny Jones is somewhere. Everybody, just know that when we
he's
know
listening.
stuff, when we need the extra
he's
smart
on
stuff,
project.
Kenny's on it. Just know Kenny Jones is here.
He's listening. Whether you see him, he's always listening.
That's what I'm saying. Omnipresent, right?
Yeah.
Omnipresent. And what's the other one for when you that parabolic curve?
Yeah.
The parabolic arc?
A parabolic arc.
Yeah.
Because that's what a masse does.
Yeah.
Which just means a
jump.
50 arc.
A jump.
Parabolic arc is a jump shot.
All right. This has been a good talk. We wanted to talk about John Schmidt and Oscar Dominguez, and there was a controversy. I have no idea what happened. They're going to explain it to me, explain it to you, and I guess we'll go from there. Hey, Ric Jones, what happened?
Well, let's see, Koby, you watched it, right?
No, I didn't watch that.
You
day.
watched
I
the
watched
guy
day
that
one.
explained what happened.
Yeah. Collins.
Okay, well, you explain because you don't talk enough.
Because I hate the way my voice sounds.
Well, don't listen to yourself. Just tell us what you got to say.
I usually don't. That gets me in lots of trouble. All right. So I think Schmidt was 8. So they're playing one pocket, 10 ahead for
10 games ahead.
Yeah, they're playing 10 ahead for 10 grand.
Yeah, that's
and
a lot.
They had agreed.
That could take a month.
Yeah, well, so they had agreed.
I'm sorry, I have things to say, Koby. Are they in prison together? Did they go to an island?
I don't know.
10 ahead is listen, I'm just saying 10 ahead could be. I wonder what the caveat is as far as after a week we call it good, or I mean.
Well, so they had agreed that they were going to play for 2 days, X amount of hours per day, and at the end of that, if nobody had reached 10, they would prorate it $1,000 per rack. So if you're 5 games up, you get $5,000 sort of deal. Okay.
Okay. Well, let's go slow on this. So how many hours per day were they supposed to play?
See, I think they usually started around 5 p.m. Central. So that's 3 p.m. hippie time.
So did they
play? I bet they played at least 10, 11 hours a day.
Which is what they were supposed to do, which they agreed upon.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead with the story.
Okay, so day 2 comes, and they decide to go for another day. They just extend it.
To day 3.
We'll play for 3 days.
Yeah.
All right, now I got to stop you again. Too, so I want everyone to understand, I don't even know what they're betting yet, I don't think. There was about 16 people in on that decision because each of those people has a team of backers for financial stuff and other things that we don't need to know anything about. Where, trust me, that was not 2 guys at the pool hall saying, hey, let's play tomorrow. I got the day off. Okay, Anyway, go ahead. 3rd day.
Yeah. All right, so 3rd day comes, and I only watched day 1. So this is just the post-up guy made a video specifically over this situation. It's like 7 or 8 minutes long. It's on Post Up. It's this channel. Go watch it if you want exact details.
Yeah,
from the
horse's
horse's
great
mouth.
anyway. We should be giving him good reference anyway, whoever that guy is. Post Up.
He does a really good job. So
that's great.
If I remember all the details correctly, Schmidt is 8 up right now. Dogs a shot, scratches. Gives Oscar ball in hand. He's got a shot straight down the long rail. Misses it. And then Schmidt misses his next shot. Leaves Oscar a kick. He kicks the ball in to win the rack. Okay. So that game is
9
over.
or 7.
So now it's 7 ahead. Schmidt 7 ahead. But since Oscar dogged that straight shot, he immediately grabbed the ball to practice that shot to try it again. You know,
on
like
the table next to him?
Yeah. No, on the table they're playing
on.
You know, he sets a shot up again just to see what the hell he did wrong. After the game's over. Okay. While he's down shooting that, John moves the bead above the tables. They've got scoring beats.
Yep.
2-7 ahead. Okay.
Oscar shoots the.
They're keeping score. They're only keeping score on one side because John's 7 ahead. there is no two scores. There's only one score, right?
That's how I would do it too. That's how I would do it too. Yeah.
So John moved the bead. So now it's 7. Okay. Oscar shoots, makes the shot that time, goes and racks.
His
or whichever.
Shot.
Yeah. So after it's re-racked and before he breaks or whatever, he goes and moves the bead, which he didn't know. He didn't know John had already moved it.
Yeah, John
actually moved it from the other side.
Right.
Yeah, John shouldn't. For people watching, gambling wise, either John shouldn't have moved the bead, or John should have called out when he moved the bead. I'm moving your bead. That's $1,000 bead. You're not helping me out, man. You're not my cousin coming to help me out. You're gonna rub my back too. That's $1,000 bead. Don't touch my bead, buddy.
The one that loses the game should never touch the beads.
Right. And for all we know, John wasn't watching when that happened. He could have been taking a piss, getting something to drink. That part we don't know. Okay.
Okay, I got you.
So they're not immediately aware that anything's happened. They're playing the game.
So now the beads say, what is the score?
6.
The beads say 6 ahead. The score is actually 7 ahead.
So Oscar basically got 2 games for 1 off of that bead wise.
Right. So the streamer, Collins, I don't know if it's the chat room caught it or Collins caught it, whichever. Something to do in the chat, the stream part of it said, all right, something's up because of the beads don't match the score I've got.
Okay.
All right, guys, hold on a second. Let me run out there and check the score, which we've done. I mean, that's normal kind of standard procedure.
We would never, ever, ever, ever talk to the players about it. But go ahead.
Right. Yeah. Right. So, and I don't know if Collins goes and asks John what the score actually is or what, but that's when all that rises up.
So what happened is when they discovered that the score was wrong because John had raked a bead and then Oscar raked a bead, what that made happen was the game count was now jacked up and the wrong guys broke, right? So then
because that's just sec. Let me just for people listening, because one pocket is every other break. You go every other break, and then so it's always, if you break on odd, then you break on odd the whole time. If you break on even, you break even the whole time. So go ahead. Yeah. So moving the beats screws up the break too.
Right. Yeah. So now they discover that the break is out of order.
That John has broke 2 times in a row.
According to the guy that does the breakdown, he says, well, now what he thinks is Oscar needs to break twice in a row because John's got to break twice in a row. And then Oscar should get to break again to get it back in the same order, which means Oscar would get to break 3 times. So what they ended up doing was going, screw all this, and they just stopped.
Well, and I don't know if Collins, the streamer, is actually the one that came up with I should do this 2 more in a row, and then Oscar breaks you. I think that was between Oscar and John.
I would imagine it was definitely,
and probably they couldn't come. They couldn't come to an agreement
where John broke and he wasn't supposed to break. How far into that game were they?
I don't know that part. I don't know.
So that's where it brings up the conversation for us. So they chose to just quit, probably because of exhaustion, mentally tired. But when you're gambling, or my rule was always, if you had special rules, you laid those out right ahead of time.
Oh, yes, 100%.
And then I always said, whatever rules aren't covered here, then we revert back to whatever rules, right? Because you don't when you're gambling, you don't say, okay, this is this rule, that rule. You don't do rule by rule. What you do is go, hey, we're gonna, instead of alternating break, we're gonna do this or do that or whatever, right? Or you can take 10 timeouts, or you can only take a timeout every hour, whatever it is. But then you go, okay, whatever rules we didn't cover in our little agreement, we'll revert back to world standardized rules or CSI rules or whatever rules. House rules, whatever it is.
Maybe Derby City Classic rules, because you're trying to minimize how long this whole thing takes, and you like some of the Derby City Classic rules.
Yeah,
so you're 100% right.
Derby.
100% right.
We'll be like, okay, whatever rules are not written in the Derby rules, then we go to the BCA rules, right?
Right.
If it's not covered. This situation that happened with these guys if they were to go with CSI rules, which originally were taken from world standardized rules,
Yeah.
If you break out a turn and it's discovered before the game is over, you just re-rack and the proper guy breaks.
Right.
If the game is complete and you discover it, too bad, so sad, it's over. But whoever is supposed to break this game, even if he's breaking twice in a row, he is the breaker. You get the order back the way where it should be, period. So the discussion they were having about, well, Oscar needs to do this and that in 2 games, and that makes him break 3 times, that should never, ever be the option, right?
Yeah.
If John broke twice, and after the game they discovered it, and it should have been, the last game should have been Oscar's break, then tough. Now it's John's break to be in the right order. Now, yeah, John would have got to break 3 times in a row, but hey, pay attention. That's the penalty, right? I mean,
you hear that too? It's been a connection deal.
Yeah,
that happens every now and then.
You live out in the woods where you throw trees at your houses and shit out there. Jolly Green Giant.
Yeah, no
King,
kidding. Okay,
you.
So anyway, yes, I agree with everything you were saying there, Rick. They shouldn't have continued playing the game. That's why I asked that question. Yeah,
right.
I agree with what you're saying exactly.
I don't know for sure, and just for all the listeners, this is like third-party information. So if you want the real details, the real video of what happened, happened with footage is going to be in the description. Go get that before you judge us for getting a number wrong. But I want to say there was like either in one of those breaks that John broke 2 in a row or whatever, there's something more to that. I think like he went 8 and out, like broke, went 8 and out or something.
Yeah, but I mean, once the game is done, it don't matter.
Yeah. I'm just saying, right? I think that's why.
And I know
that brought on more
conversation. This is way more important.
Yeah.
The break in one pocket is massively
It's
important.
worth 2, but they say it's worth 2 balls. Gamblers say the break's worth 2 balls. You know, when you spot somebody to break, that they think that's worth giving them 2 balls. And I want to add too to what Koby just said. I'm a big believer too, old school, that action talk is for the 2 guys gambling.
Yeah.
And these days they're team too, I guess, a little bit. But other than that, that's between them. No matter what they decided, it was the right rule. Nobody's saying that they did anything wrong, because if they're gambling, that's up to them. It's none of their business. We're just bullshitting and talking about it.
Right.
Rick's right though. If the game ain't over, gambling wise, what in my world the rules are is you were both idiots. Re-rack them and start again. I can't help it if you're both idiots, and that's it. That's when I'm an idiot too. You know what I mean? There ain't no rule to cover what if we start juggling the pool balls in the middle of the game. Yeah, there's no rule for you being a complete moron. You know,
that's part of the fantasy of the long, or the thrill of the long races too, right? Is who can keep their shit together when they're exhausted.
Right, man. Right. Of course it is.
And I think when it was all said and done, they were both in agreement to, let's just do this, be done. I don't think, I think everybody was cool with the decision.
Right.
I don't see that there's any animosity over the deal.
Not criticizing, just putting out some info of what you should do during tournament play from my perspective.
Right.
And then gambling, if you're going to gamble, protect yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
See, I would have to wonder if it was those 2 guys by themselves in a pool hall and this happened. I bet you they would do what Rick was talking about, where they would start over again, unless there's something we don't know. Like Koby's saying, by the time they figured it out, a couple things had happened or something. But typically gambling, the 2 guys would just say, just like I said, we're both idiots. Re-rack. Let's go take a break, get a coffee, and start again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it screws up too many things. It just screws, and especially in a 10 ahead, nobody breaking 3 times in a row if I'm involved. No
10
way.
ahead in one pocket
fucking
is
way.
Just insane, dude.
Yeah, 10 ahead in one pocket is crazy. Like I watched Spanky play 9-ball 10 ahead, and that took forever.
If you run into players that have equal skill level, holy shit, dude, that could go on for one pocket. It could go on for months.
Yeah.
No joke.
It really could. I like 3 ahead. 3 ahead's fun because you got to beat me 3 games to win. If you get 3 ahead on me, you win. I should be done for the day anyway. And if I get 3 ahead on you, I win. You should be done for the day. But that also goes towards, I don't like marathon pool. I think it's stupid. So, to me, there comes a time in gambling where if you beat me 4 sets, I'm done, man. You win. Congratulations.
That's coming from the guy that's got to go to bed at 9 o'clock.
Hey, man, listen, it is what it is. I've stayed up all night gambling. I don't like it, and I don't particularly do well at it. So, yeah,
I was just going to say, can you get your wife on here so we can ask if you could stay up late and talk?
Man, I turned into a pumpkin. I do, dude. I turned into a pumpkin. And then I've always been that guy, too. I think it's part of why I don't drink. I get tired, and then I go to bed, man, because I'm just that guy. I don't care what anybody thinks. Nobody gets a vote. I turn into a pumpkin. Good night. So, yeah, that affects my pool sometimes, too, because, you do it because you're trying to have a good time, and it's fun, and that's not my idea of a good time, man.
I've never been the victim of peer pressure, dude. It's like, if I have a drink, I'm ready to go to bed. I'll go to bed. I don't care. You guys want to stay up and party? Stay up and party.
Man.
I was always the one out of my group of friends that had their own place. So everybody always came to hang out at my house to get away from their parents. And it was like, all right, y'all know how to lock a door when you leave, right? Cool, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, wake up in the morning and lock the door.
Yeah, pretty much.
10 ahead between those two guys is too many ahead. My God, those guys are both real gamblers, real players. I'm surprised that they got into a 10 ahead kind of a thing. One of them would have to have a pretty crummy day to do it.
It seems to me like somebody was feeling a little froggy about their game, I think.
Yeah, there had to have been some barking going on
10
that
ahead in one pocket, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I used to play a buddy of mine 5-game 9-ball on a bar table, and we'd play about 10 hours every Sunday. He's the same guy I still play, Tom Moore. And that was dangerous if one of us wasn't feeling it that day. 5 a game for 10 hours, man. If you're not feeling it, that's going to get dangerous quick. That's almost and it did not happen often that one of us lost very big because you knew you couldn't let your guard down. And that's similar to this, where I don't think it was realistic.
Oh my God, man. It took him 15 minutes to rack the balls.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do that, but next time I'm in that area, I'll play a dollar game for 10 hours with you, but I can't afford to lose that many.
To me, that's like arm wrestling. I love dollar game, $2 game, 5, whatever it is. I like per game because it's hard to get up on somebody per game because all of a sudden they win 2 in a row and you got, here we go again. And it's mentally fatiguing because there's no giant reward. You just have to keep their arm wrestling.
I think it's good though.
It is good.
I think if you can learn to play that way, it's better for your tournament game.
The older guys in the town, there's one sort of dive bar that they would all go to, and there's one table in the back that was always the gamble table, and every day you could go in there any time of day. They were playing 6 and 9 ball, $2 a rack. The winner of the 9 ball rack keeps the table, and you have to work too fucking hard for $2 at that. I mean, with these
games, man.
Dude, when I first moved here to Indiana, let's see, it'd have been 2010. Yeah, probably 9 or 10. There's a gentleman's club, and it's just where they can sell
for people watching. That's a club for only gentlemen.
Yeah. Right, go ahead. No, really, it's like the dudes go hang out. They got a
suit and tie.
Saturday morning breakfast is like $3, right?
Okay.
But it's a club, so they can get away with rules that a bar can't, right?
Right.
But they play pee pool, and it's like,
with the Peapod.
It's like, oh my God, guys, really? Like, you got to kick their ass big time to roll out of there with $5 for the day, right? It's just but they just love to sit there and play pee pool for like 25 cents. It's like, it's crazy.
Dude.
And there's a way to. If I'm 90, I hope there's a place I can do that all damn day long too. But
dude.
There's a way, Rick, to play pee pool like poker, where you keep you get your number and then you keep it secret.
Yeah.
You add 10 to your number, and then the pockets are each worth a number, and you're trying to to get to your number, and then that's how you win. I used to play that with guys who spoke a different language at the pool hall, Asian folk.
Yeah.
And they were just on honor system to not tell each other what their numbers were, and we used to play that all the time, man. Yeah, that's a fun. We called it ghosts at the pool hall, but yeah, it was a fun way to do it, man.
Hold on, you're gambling money in a situation that involves math with a bunch of Asians.
Well, yeah,
he got good quick.
Yes.
I see why. I see why you're not doing it now.
On the honor system that they wouldn't speak a different language with telling each other what their number was.
Yeah,
because that would mean that you could help your buddy win or not. You know what I mean? And no, they were on the honor system. They were honorable guys. All those guys were. You know, all my friends there were honorable guys.
All that action when he was young. That's why he goes to bed early now.
Yeah,
dude, Rick, that's so real. I've done it, man. I've waited at the bus stop at 6 a.m. waiting for Trimex to start running again, coming home from Grand Central. I've slept on the bench at Grand Central more times than I can tell you, waiting for my friends to be done gambling. Yeah, I did do it all, man. I snuck out of the house 3 nights a week for almost 3 years when I was in high school. I lived 2 blocks from the pool hall. Yeah, man, I did do it.
I remember doing that. I went to college 30 minutes south of Tulsa. And I remember telling my fiance at the time, like, hey, I'm just going to run downstairs, shoot pool for a little bit. I'll be back. You know, and I fully planned on going just downstairs to the commons area and shooting pool. And it never failed. We ended up in Tulsa because there, you know, Magoo's or Billiard Palace was, when we found Billiard Palace, I should have got not married at that point. But, you know, 8 or 9 hours later, I'd come home, you know.
Just one more game.
Yeah.
Dude. Come on, man. One more set.
What are you doing? I'm going to bed because we're doing it again tomorrow.
Hey, so did any of you guys see the Joe Rogan interview with Federer?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. What'd y'all think of it?
Did you see it, Mike?
I saw only a little glimpse of it. I didn't get to hear Federer talk too much. Joe Rogan talked a lot. I don't know. Just a little bit I got to see. I didn't hear Federer talk very much.
So there's some controversy on it.
Yeah.
There's some people upset. It's good for pool.
It's over 2-hour interview. He does get to talk, but most of the clips aren't very good.
I've heard that there was a lot of focus on drug use.
So the title of that episode is Sharking, Gambling, and Drugs, the Dark Side of Pool.
No, that's the title of that clip.
Episode, dude.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure.
I thought that was just the title of that clip they put out.
I'm pretty sure it's the episode.
His episode titles is just the name.
Go look. Check it out. I'm pretty sure that's what it was because it was all high print and everything. I know what you're saying, but that's the title of that little clip.
Federer's the wrong guy to ask. I hope people know that Federer is not. That's not where he's coming
he's as
from.
clean as they get.
Yeah, no, look.
Yeah,
so the controversy is whether it's good for pool or not. So I did a little homework because I'm kind of torn either way.
God dang it.
Is that what it is?
No.
You can correct me. I can be wrong, dude. I'm okay being wrong.
I don't
like Joe Rogan.
Well, that's where I want to correct people. So Joe Rogan, the whole episode is just titled by Federer's name. That's just a little excerpt that they took out, the whole drug use excerpt, and they titled it that way, what you're saying.
Right.
So that's not the whole interview is not titled.
I watch a guy, Vlad TV, and he does that. He titles his video, and sometimes it's salaciously titled.
Yeah,
and it's,
that's cool.
It's clickbaity because that's the world we live in.
Is to get viewers.
Yeah. Right.
No hate. No hate intent.
No, absolutely no hate. His job is to get
just getting it straight.
So I guess the old Moscone Cup coach wrote a little article.
Did he?
And he was kind of bashing the episode because he feels it's bad for pool.
There was a few people did that had that same.
Yeah. That's
I'm
just
definitely
one that
aware
I know
of
that would stand out a little bit.
Yeah.
Joey and Melina Mike were doing a show, I think it was today, where they were talking about this. And they were talking about, hey, look, you gotta, in order to have a 2-hour conversation, you got to spice it up a little bit or people won't watch.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I liked was when Joe Rogan went in and he explained terminology that pool players know and use,
right,
that normal people wouldn't, like
right.
magic rack or
one pocket.
I can't remember. That was, yeah, you know, he just kind of explained some stuff. Magic rack was one of the things I thought, you know, that drew my attention to it. So, you know, I don't know, what's your guys' thoughts when when a conversation like that happens to the, here, I'll give you some examples. Joe Rogan averages like 11 million people viewing his episodes. Now, this particular episode only had 750,000 views in 3 days, but that's still pretty damn strong. But
my take on it's this: if anybody's ever been catfished, that's how I took it. All these people complaining that we shouldn't talk about that, you're just catfishing everybody that doesn't understand. It's part of it. I mean, not talking about it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It just means that we're going to let all these other people find out the hard way that, oh, yeah, everybody knows that happens.
I think, yeah, so my opinion on it is this, right? So we've done, you know, everybody goes, well, you know, pull this and pull that. Why isn't it the big thing? Look, we had the guys wear the suits.
Yeah.
Right? We've had the guys do the dark gambling. We've had the TV shows that were really dark. I mean, The Hustler is a dark damn movie.
Yeah, it is.
You know, and Color of Money ain't much brighter.
No.
When you look at the actual storyline behind the shit. But I kind of feel like the pool world always tries to hide its history.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think we should just fucking wake up and embrace it. I mean, because you can have that conversation. Here's what people do on this side. Here's what people do on this side. Here's the thing in the middle. I mean, it's all there. Look,
yeah,
every sport has a controversy.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I'm okay talking about it. I guess my concern is more the accuracy of it. I hate to always say this, but I've been doing this since I was 15 years old. It used to be considered cool to hustle money from somebody. Now I truly believe what most people hear is that you tricked a drunk guy out of his money, and that's not very cool. Cocaine is not popular like it was in 1982 and 87, man.
Right.
There's not as many guys doing lines in the bathroom anymore. I know Adderall's still an issue, but I mean, I believe that there's less of that in pool. And just like in society, yeah, there's people on drugs that you can look at them and tell that they're having a real problem. But if you wait 17 minutes, they're going to be gone because their life is going downhill, man. And they're not really even worth worrying about that much.
Sure.
And as for hustling, I think tournaments are bigger than they've ever been before.
Yeah, I think the hustle's
you talk about the Color of Money. That whole move was to dump in tournaments so you could go gamble. You can't make a living doing that anymore. Right. There's a reason all these big pros go from tournament to tournament because that's where the money's at. And then the other thing is, I've talked about the live streaming stuff is a boon to secondary sports like pool. It's also helped with people matching up, like this one we're talking about with Oscar and John Schmidt. There's a lot more matching up, which is what I always preferred to do growing up gambling too, is to say, and it's how I kept from getting beat up in a lot of these situations I talk about with people who maybe were dangerous. I would always say, and maybe that's part of where I'm coming from too, is that I was always playing people that would hurt me if I tricked them out of money. I'd have to say, I'm very good at pool and I think I'm better than you. And I would like to take your money and put it in my pocket. Now, if you agree, then we're cool and I'll just go find somebody else to play. But if you feel differently, let's see how that goes. And no offense, no, I ain't mad at you, but let's post up. And I believe that is more the way the game has gone. So I don't mind that they talked about it. I hope that they address that there's less of it than there used to be. So that's what I would say about
it. Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? In order to, well, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of our listeners have lived through the alcoholics, the drug abusers, the abusive husbands, whatever, right? But almost all of those, for those things to get better, you have to acknowledge the bad and then evolve, right?
Right.
So I think pool should just do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's acknowledge that shit happened, but we're definitely going in a cleaner and better direction.
Right.
So everybody getting their panties in a wad over somebody talking about the drugs in the pool world, I think are just they're lying to themselves.
And
I think some of the stuff with the drugs too is because marijuana is becoming legal in, let's say, 40% of the country.
Yeah.
And it makes things a little confusing. You know, I know there's been some vape pen stuff at tournaments, and you know, it's just hard to say if you had a beer. Anyway, let's just go with marijuana also, and legalization of it makes it a little confusing. Some of the drug controversies have not been about amphetamine kind of stuff. They've been about marijuana, which is confusing these days right now.
Yeah, no, I'm just my point on that whole topic would be, I don't care that they talked about it. I think I don't think it's a bad thing that you talk about the things that were. I think you have to be clear that they're not as bad as they have been. That, you know, sure, it still happens.
So here's my thoughts. I've got a lot of friends that are in recovery, and they've gone through the steps, and I've gone to the meetings just to support them and stuff. They don't tell them to don't tell nobody about it. I mean, they almost. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They almost tell these people.
No, of course you're right, Koby.
You get around somebody in recovery, and you're going to hear their story more times you can ever hear, because that's how there's people listening to that same damn podcast that have that problem. It might be an addiction, and that could very well be the window. They go, hey, this is a problem, and maybe I need to go get something done about it. So, but if we don't talk about it, if we don't ever talk about it and we keep it as a taboo subject, we're never going to fix the problem. You cannot put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound and then go away. So I think
I agree,
not talking about it is the problem with this entire freaking country, not just on drugs.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
No.
And it's not just drugs, it's mental health, all kinds of stuff.
Mental health, I totally agree with you, Koby.
And look, dude, when you got a guy that's getting talk about 3 to 11 million viewers per episode, that's good for pool. I don't care. I don't care whether you like the topic or not.
I was just gonna say, the only important thing really that we've talked about or said so far is what Rick said about how many viewers Joe Rogan has. Yeah. And I guess the second thing should be, hey, thanks, Joe, for having a pool player on. So we know you love playing pool. Maybe once a month you could have a pool player on. There's a lot of pool players, and a lot of them have interesting stories, man.
And I would hope, I would hope he did it in a way that don't just get the ones that have been from that background to keep this whole thing going. I mean, if you're going to do it in a right timeline where it shows that pool used to be dark and seedy, and now it's coming out of that into the light, but don't make it all clickbait.
I guess that's why I said too about Federer. Federer's just a very clean-cut young man, a soft-spoken, nice young man.
Yeah, you probably couldn't find a cleaner guy in the game.
Yes. He's just, I've met him, I've been around him. So I mean, he's a fine young man.
I thought it was a really good interview. I mean, there wasn't a single thing in the interview that I thought, oh man, I wish they hadn't brought that up and put it.
People need to quit.
I'm waiting for it to all come out on YouTube, but I'll watch it as it comes out on YouTube.
It won't be. You have to be on Spotify to listen to the whole episode. Joe's
really?
Yeah, they just did clips. Yeah.
Rogan's got an exclusive thing at Spotify only. He'll put clips on YouTube, but it's a over 2 hour long interview, and you're only going to get like 10 minutes if you just use it.
It's like almost 2.5 hours. But
Spotify's free. You don't have to pay anything.
The only data I can find in anywhere on pool is that it says there's like 21 million people that say they like to play pool in America. You got Joe Rogan, who's reached out to, he gets 11 million views per video. This is good.
Right.
Right. So,
And
I don't have a problem.
I mean, I knew Rogan was a player, but I think he came across as sort of, I mean, he wasn't full on idiot over what he was talking about, you know?
No, Rogan knows the game.
Yeah.
He knows a lot of the people in the game.
Yeah.
He's a 600 something player. Rogan plays good.
He
He
does.
plays
He
9-foot pool.
He
Yeah.
does a hell of
9-foot
an
pool.
impression of
Yep.
Earl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that came up in the interview too. Like he said, you know, I try to get Earl on. He won't call me back. I think he's still mad over this impression I did. And he's like, "Hey, Jamie, play that, by the way." You know,
Yeah,
so
it's hilarious, dude. And
you know.
it's spot on.
And he says, he's like, the only reason I can do it that good. Yeah.
He did, huh?
And he's like, I don't know why he's mad. He's like, I'm a huge Earl fan. That's why I can do it so good. I wouldn't know that about him if I didn't know the,
dude,
the guy.
It would be
He's
crazy
like,
not to go on there, dude. I'll bet you Joe Rogan might sponsor him.
Yeah.
Right.
World's greatest 70-year-old pool player.
Hey, speaking of sponsors, shout out Lippman Lights, Hustlin' Billiards, Billiard Apparel, Diamond Billiard Products, JB Cases, BadBoys. Who else we got? Anybody else? Did I miss somebody?
Think we're good. I think you
all right.
Simonis and Aramuth.
Right.
Yep.
Simonis and Aramuth. Yeah, I got to get a
Diamond Tails.
Write that down, a real person.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to throw that out there. Yeah, no, I agree. I think Joe could really help Pool a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I look at the numbers, dude. I mean, look.
What about the other?
Here, let's just go this way. Kim Kardashian made her fame because of a sex tape that leaked out. Right? Paris Hilton. How did she get all popular on TV? I mean, good press, bad press, it's all the same, right? It's press. You know? There's a lot of people out there that bad press made them famous. Let's get everybody involved first.
I don't know exactly where you're going with this, but the pattern you started with, I can't think of a single pool player I want to see in a sex tape.
Oh, there's a couple I wouldn't mind seeing. Not guys.
Let's not name them.
I'm not gonna say no names because I'll get in trouble.
But what about other I mean, so I know Tony Stewart's pool
he shows
player.
up at Derby once in a while.
Does he?
Yeah.
Who else? Are there any other big names that
you know that God, Jerry something used to be on he's passed away now. The cop show, Law and Order. He was one of the original detectives. He was big into pool.
Oh, was he really? The tall, thin guy.
Yeah.
The older guy.
I know who you're talking about.
The older guy. I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Died like in the last couple of years.
John Mulaney has a bit about him.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. No,
so
very cool.
Over the Christmas thing, there was a video put out that Danny Basovich put a video out. Did anybody see that?
No.
What was that?
It was
I haven't even
just
seen him in years.
I thought he was dead, but they put out a video. He was sort of a, hey guys, just I got a lot of fans. Thought I'd say, hey, I'm still around. I mean, he's freaking huge, but he said he was trying to
that guy had
get back into it a little bit.
That guy had some game, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, that boy could play.
I'll try to find that and I'll put it in the link.
First time I met him was at Derby City. Yeah. He was in some serious action.
I got a question that has nothing to do with anything except that I want to know. I've been looking at Q-Tech cues lately online. They seem inexpensive. Why are Q-Tech cues plain cues? Why are they inexpensive?
Well,
you're looking at the Avids, aren't you? Or are you looking at the others?
I'm saying any butt under $1,000 I consider to be inexpensive.
I don't know for sure because I'm not in.
They got a lot of $300 and $500 butts. Is it decals, Rick?
As far as I know, there's a lot of cues that are decals, and I don't think anything's made in the U.S. from Q-Tech.
And
now, don't get me wrong. I don't know for sure. That's what I've been told.
Yeah,
I'm not a Q guy.
Do you think that some of the inlays these days are there people are using paint to finish them up, maybe make them sharper?
I know there's
I
a
never
bunch of
thought about that.
decals.
All right. I just curious because I'm starting to notice, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I'm starting to notice a lot of decal cues.
Seeing a pattern here.
I guess my point with Q-Tech is I have a lot of respect for a Q company that's going to have a decal Q and sell it for $300. At least there's that.
Right. Right.
Maybe we should end with that. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I mean, that's what I have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, if you're advertising what it is,
exactly.
If it's a good plain butt
it's
Q
priced
and you tell them that it's a decal or it's a painted on,
right?
But if you give the impression that it's an inlay, then I think you're a piece of shit, and I would never buy. I'm not saying that that's what anybody's doing. I'm just saying, as long as people know what they're buying, I'm cool with it.
Right. I agree. I would even go farther, and I would say that some of the Q-Tech's Qs that I looked at, the designs, any idiot would know it's a decal. It's not they're not pretend. There's some 3D looking things, some futuristic looking things that they do. They're clearly not trying to imitate a true inlay. And again, I'm just saying, I respect that they're doing that and that you can get a butt for $300, $500, man. Good for them. At least there's that option for people.
I just want to say that. I remember you could go buy a Hubler for $200 and it was a pretty good stick.
Yeah. And I've bought some lower end, like, hobbyists, I guess. They're not big time Q makers, but I've got some that, they're full splash Qs that were only, I think I paid $600 for one 10 years ago, and I love it.
God, I'm old, dude.
I have some decal Qs for my family. That's horrible to say, but it's true. I got some decal Qs for my family, but I knew they were decal Qs, and I got them for under $100 each. Which I thought was like I say, if it's priced accordingly, I don't have a problem with the decal Q. I'll play with a Budweiser, but I don't care. I'd like to have a carbon fiber shaft on it or something similar. But
I got one of those ones that has the resin down there at the bottom that has like a dolphin in it or something.
Those
are
that we picked up for a friend to play with at the house, and I still have it.
Right.
I think it was like $75 when I bought it or something.
That's what I'm saying exactly, Rick. Though exactly those are real 90s kind of Qs. Those were popular in the 90s. And I got no hate towards them because you knew that guy nobody carved a dolphin in that thing, right?
Right.
Yeah. And it's not a real dolphin either.
Yeah. But I guess the point of this too would be, if you start paying attention, folks. Start paying attention.
If you're gonna spend big money on a stick, make sure you know what the hell you're getting.
Yeah.
Anything over $500, you need to know exactly what you're getting.
People, I mean, if you think about it, if you buy a Q, there's questions people aren't even asking anymore that they used to really automatically ask.
I don't think they know to ask anymore.
Yeah, they don't, Koby. You're right. For that price, though, I want to see pictures of you building it. You know?
Yeah, dude. I think there's too much trust in. I don't want to bash anybody, but when your name is all over the place, I think people trust that more than they should.
Oh, absolutely.
Way more than they should.
Yep.
But that's the same with everything, right? I'm not just pool cues or. Be careful. Just because their name is everywhere doesn't mean it's a great product.
That's what
it just means they've invested in putting their name everywhere.
Right. That's what I've always taught my daughter. Like, if you see something in a commercial or somebody's heavily advertising something, cool, check it out. But guaranteed, there's probably something better on the market that they don't have to advertise because their stuff speaks for itself.
Right.
So you're hearing this name and you're seeing this name everywhere because that's what they need to do to sell their products. But chances are there's equal or better out there for the same money. It just takes a little effort.
And I think sometimes in a corporate environment too, sometimes a CEO or someone will come in and things might take a different direction than they had before. So maybe feelings that you had about a company at one point in your life, maybe they changed because of leadership, you know. It's just the way the world works. You can't, sometimes you got to switch horses midstream.
Yeah, be careful. I mean,
I've actually had a conversation with the guy this week about something similar. It's talking about Q's or whatever, and X and X brand, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I don't even look at them anymore because their customer service just sucks." Like, how long ago were you, checking them out? And it was years ago. Like, okay, y'all need to understand that it works both ways with what Mike was saying. Sometimes it changes for the worse, and sometimes it also changes for the better.
Right.
So,
yeah. I mean, the consumer has to wise up. Anytime a company gets big and they change hands or change management, you got to make sure that the management didn't come in and go, okay, we got to make money, we got to cut corners, right?
Right.
Some companies, they can hold on to the quality. Some companies prefer the quantity.
Right.
It's up to the consumer to actually. If I wish everybody that watched this would come be a Patreon member, tell your friends, do all that stuff, because really one of the things I would love to do is get some experts in and do product testing, do shows on, hey, this is why this is better, or that's better, or whatever.
Right.
But it takes money to do that. And I'd go out and find the people that know stuff, right? You know about wood? Let's see who's got the best wood stick and why. Let's test it. Let's do all that. I think it'd be fascinating to know.
Yeah.
Speaking of fascinating and speaking of what you're talking about, this is so the beginning of this podcast. I know all three of us are grinders. We're going to keep doing this. But my point is, BadBoys on the road is a real thing. You sitting where you're sitting is a rarity in your life. It's going to be nice to travel around and do some of the things you're talking about too. I know we talked about, I'd like to do a tour of the Diamond Factory just as one small little thing that, nothing's written in stone, but I'm saying there's so many things that, imagine what we could do on the road with tested products. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's the ref who came out with the shaft?
Yeah. What?
The B shaft?
I didn't hear you say it again.
Who's the referee that came out with the shaft, Rick?
The shaft?
Yeah.
Referee.
He's the ref at Derby.
You're talking about BQ?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So BQ's like, I think they're out of Italy.
Okay.
And here, they were first with the carbon fiber shaft, not the other guys that say they were first. BQ was first.
Interesting. See, that's okay. So that's what I'm talking about. At some point, we're going to be where that guy is at Derby, and I want to talk to him. And pretty soon, speaking of Patreon, there's going to be some cool interviews on there to watch, man, because we got some legit questions,
We got some awesome shit coming towards you.
That's all I'm really trying to say. That all of that was said, so I just say I think people are going to be surprised. We got some cool shit coming, man. Seriously,
and we're getting better with the production every day.
Right,
Koby,
of course.
Koby's learning. He's doing real good.
I'm trying.
Koby's been doing amazing. Yeah, I'm interested in when we get our on the road set up, Koby, about how quick we can have cameras ready and where we're going to set up, and it's going to be a blast, man. We got some cool stuff coming, dude. I'm more excited for Derby than I've ever been before.
I'm not going to show you my desk, but trust me, I've been buying shit.
Have you really?
To try some things.
All right, man.
We're gonna try a lot of things.
Yeah,
we got some ideas.
And for all of you that, if you don't know who your friends are, to tell them about our Patreon, buy a trailer. You'll find out pretty quick.
Or a pickup truck.
Yeah,
or a car lift.
Yeah.
Put a pool table in your garage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, speaking of Derby, Rick, what do you do right now in prep for Derby? You got 3 weeks to go, let's call it. Are you doing anything for Derby? Is that a silly question? Are you doing a million things? What,
About a week out, I'll start reading the rules again because they're different there than everywhere else.
Yep.
Pretty much I'll put a notebook together probably in another week, and I'll start writing down who I'd like to get interviewed, questions. Then I'll shoot it off to you so you can put it together however you want.
I want to put together questions. Yeah, I
Mostly
want
my
to have
gig.
smart
I mean,
questions for
Derby.
people.
Dude, I don't prep like normal people.
Yeah, because you're not normal people. We are not.
Well, a lot of shit, dude. I just start doing in my head,
Yeah.
right? Like just doing math and shit like that, and then
a lot of derbies. So
the next week and a half, dude, I got about 30 emails that are gonna go out for places we want to do tournaments and shit.
Wow.
When a lot of the derby stuff, like the software and all that, I've been logging on and playing with it since July, somewhere around
there. Yeah. Really?
Yeah, because they're redoing it. So,
but I'll throw it back at you, Mike, because I know you brought it up. I don't know if it made it on one of the videos. As a player that travels to these bigger tournaments, is there anything special you do when you're traveling, like with your cues? I know that's always a constant thing. What do you do with your cues when you're traveling? Do you ship them or do you carry them with you?
I generally carry them with me in a, man, I spent so long looking into this. I overpack, so I don't have it light. Right. So I say that so that I can say I gotta have something with wheels on it. There are some great double shotgun rifle bags are really a great size for bringing your pool cue and packing stuff. But the problem is you got to carry it. They're all set up to carry, and I'm not that guy. I need wheels. The point of all that is I use a bat bag. A softball bat bag is a wheeled bat bag. It's long enough. It's shaped so that it's not giant. I've got some suitcase stuff that's big enough, but it ends up being such a giant rectangle or square. You're literally embarrassed to be dragging it around. It's unneedful. It's needfully big.
It's like, where the fuck is this guy going for 6 months?
Right. So I'm a big used guy. I really like Marketplace and Craigslist, and it's easy to find some beautiful. Listen, I've gotten to really like bat bags, some really cool looking, beautiful bat bags for $40 or something, because somebody's done with this season and they're moving on, and they're also pretty durable. They're meant to be pulled around the outfield, and and the wheels are durable, and I couldn't recommend bat bags any more. And they've got the strap and the whole deal.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, because that's what I bought. Because the
first did you buy one?
Yeah. So the first few times I went to Wisconsin was the first one. I went to Derby first without a stick, and it drove me bonkers.
Right.
Because I couldn't get one to fit my case. Wisconsin, I took a cheap one I had lying around. It wouldn't fit in the case, but it would fit diagonally out of the case. So I just put it in the middle of all the clothes.
That's pretty typical, I'd say. Yeah.
Did that for Wisconsin and the first Oregon. And then when I picked you up in Texas, I saw your bat bag. So I went and bought one. Cool, and actually, Dick's sold me this warranty, and they claim if I get any sort of damage to it, it's like $11 a year. I can just go pay $11 and get a new one.
Oh, that's awesome, Koby.
Oh.
That's awesome. What brand did you get masked? Do you happen to know?
It was a DeMarini.
Nice, man.
Yeah, back in the day, you could just throw your pool case over your shoulder, carry it on the plane, right?
Right.
And when they made that illegal, a lot of people would just check their pool case.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many pool cases I've seen just wiped out, dude. Like straps shredded off.
And that's getting the crap out of me too.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I've had cues stolen. I mean, and I don't have the most expensive cues, but I also don't have $3,000 sitting there in a dumbass fund because I didn't at least try to manage the risk.
Right.
So what you're saying is we should come up between the three of us and design a bag that will hold a pool case and some
Wow.
clothes, very sleek, nice, neat, with wheels that we could sell to people out there.
Yeah, not
traveling.
sleek. That's the only thing I don't like about the bat bag I've got is it's sort of narrow and it rocks
Yep.
a little bit. Yeah, you know what I'm talking
Right,
about.
but make it narrow the other way.
Yeah.
So make a backing where the wheels are far apart.
Yeah.
And it's narrow this way.
Right. But then you cut out padding on your cues. For those of you that don't have a good JB case,
So what you do is you got to make it so like you lay your pants, like 6 pair of pants, then your pool case, then 6 shirts, then your socks, your underwear, and your drug bag.
Right.
Flip it up and roll it out.
Yeah.
Yep. I have seen. I watched a JB case commercial, and they do have one, but no wheels. But it's similar to what you're talking about. Just need to throw some wheels on there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think John Barton has looked into making bags and
just, travel cases.
It's not. I mean, by the time you get one designed that's good and has the protection that his standard requires, people aren't going to pay that.
Well,
I mean, there's going to be some that will, but then 98% of the population is going to shit on him for this guy thinks that bag's worth that. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. You know? Problem is you're only using it to travel from place to place. Once you get to that place, you don't want it.
Right. And for the average person,
it's separate your cues from that.
Right. And the average person, it's totally unrealistic. I mean, it's really only used for people that travel a lot like we do.
Yeah.
Where we don't go anywhere without them.
Yep. I have found that if you're really worried about protection, your best move is to get a tube case that's basically a PVC pipe. One of those cheap tube cases that everything fits in, and then put that into some sort of wheeled duffel bag. Because to try and get a case that will make you feel completely safe about just putting a stick in there, like Koby's talking about, man, you almost got to get a rifle case, the hard plastic rifle cases. Right. And then you've got weight problems. I think it's 62 linear inches is the size. And I think it's often 50 pounds is the weight limit.
Right.
Yeah. So as soon as you get a 20-pound rifle case, now you got problems, man.
So a lot of these players, their pool cases are heavy as shit.
Yeah. Right. Now, I personally, I don't do the tube case. I like the butterfly case in a duffel bag style, like bat bag. I think is plenty of protection because I do what Ric's talking about too. There's clothes surrounding that whole thing. My son used to go to Alaska and he took his PlayStation with him. It reminds me of that. We just wrapped it with clothes and it was always fine.
Yeah.
Don't put it in the outside pocket.
Right.
It's gonna get broke.
Yeah, I know about those heavy cases. I quit carrying my N-stroke too. It's just too heavy.
Oh my God. The people don't realize it's such a weird thing to cry about, but these tournaments in these casinos, you're often almost a mile away from the pool table from your hotel room. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not an exaggeration. And I know, just walk. Dude, it's 12 times a day, man.
Yeah.
You want to run back to your room real quick? Okay, I'll see you in 30 minutes.
Yeah, when we set up nationals, dude, we averaged 12 miles a day.
I believe it, man.
Yeah.
Dude.
So I liked it when it was at the Riviera. So the only year I went that it was at the Riviera, we actually stayed in a timeshare, so we didn't even have a room on site to go to. But luckily, like AZ Billiards had a skybox, and there was, there really at any given time there might be 12 people there,
right?
And you could go up there and practice on their tables for free. Plus, they had seatings that overlooked the playing area, so you could go out there.
That was a cool little setup.
Yeah, it was dark, so you could just go out there. If you had 4 or 5 hours, you go out there and take a nap or rest or whatever.
That's cool.
Have quiet. But
I don't miss the Rib because
that's right on the strip.
Probably way harder.
Yeah,
we didn't
I
sleep
bet.
much when we did the tournaments at the Riv because we were still, learning everything. And there
Right.
were so
Yeah.
many issues and shit people didn't even notice.
Yeah. But like, still, the only way I know where the Riviera was is I was telling Gabby when we were out there, is like, hold on, Riviera is going to be on the right side or where it was, but I'm going to look over here because I know there's a McDonald's right across the street. Because it was the cheapest place to eat.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, back when it was at the Riv, though, dude, it was cheap to eat in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right, like you could go to Ellis Island and get a prime rib dinner for $6.95.
Yeah.
Right.
And you could go up to that. They had that little food court up at the Riv up in the front for $10, dude, and you'd be full. Right.
There was a Subway there, Chinese food. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like Subway, Chinese. I think they had a pizza place, Pizza Hut or
Right.
something.
And then like
they had like
Kobe's stand
5 or 6
directly across the street was a McDonald's, right?
Yeah. When the food court closed,
there was even a door there, which is not usual in Vegas, man. Usually you got to walk forever to find a goddamn door. The door was right there. Walk across the street, McDonald's is there.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times. Do we want to wrap up that episode, guys?
Yeah, we can wrap that one up.
Yep.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us here with the Out of Pocket podcast with Bad Boys. We appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much. It's been Ric Jones, Koby Pilgrim, and Mike D.
Yep.
All right. Yeah.
Red button, Mike.
Hey, good job, guys. I like it.
Yeah.